pleasure to turn the program over to Diane Vitirola, one of the board members of this society.
Thank you and good morning to everybody. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce a very dear person who I met at RISEC a short number of years ago, back in 2004, Eileen Brilliant, who often was a platform host who generally included poetry from somebody else in her presentation. We've stayed in touch a little bit. Eileen continued to write her own poetry. She's now had a book of her own poems published. I was honored to be invited to her book launch and last July, and I exuberantly asked if she would be willing to read for us, and obviously she said yes. And I have one quote that I do want to read about her poetry because it really moved me, so let me just find that. This is a quote by Bo Niles, and here is what it says. As Eileen Brilliant transcribes the arc of her life through memories of family and her evolving self, her courageous suite of poems penetrates into the nature of love in all its guises. Because paper is an ear, as she writes, it is through words on the page that we join her as she dives into those absent places where our heart should be home. So, Eileen,
Anyway, I have two pairs of reading glasses just in case. Water. Try to be prepared. Diane, thank you so much for those words, and Joan and everybody. It's great to be back here. It has been a while, though I think Gary and I were here when somebody was honored. Perhaps Jim White. The 70th of somebody. The society was being honored. That's great. I wanted to start. I was looking among my many papers and I found Ethical Footprints, a little booklet honoring our founders and builders. And the picture, it's beautiful, black and white, but it's an ocean view and footprints in the sand. And I thought about that and I thought, where there's a foundation in ethics, the footprints stay even if washed away. I'm going to, well, I will begin. I'm just going, Diane had asked me actually, this is what I had written, which is a very good question. Diane often has very good questions, where I get my inspiration from, and I quickly answer, well, just from my life. But I realized the difference between writing and speaking. One of the differences is that when we're writing, we think more. We're not that quick to speak. Often I do get inspiration from others, and I do read others for pleasure, also for inspiration. I'm going to start with a poem for Barbara. I belonged in 92nd Street Y to a poetry group there for many years now. Barbara Schachter was a member there. And so recently, actually this is in July, she passed away a couple of years ago. July, I wrote this poem to her. Good morning, Barbara, for Barbara Schachter. Dear, and you were such, you cared, come to mind time and time. Dear, and you were such, the strength of your lines, your lived face, vessel of beauty, your hallmark dignity, shone serene like poems you carried to class. Gifts all, touching simply, time weaves we never know, who or what will bestow. True, I knew you not well, yet enough to see, a gem holding firm to life's engine to the end. The next poem I'm going to read is In the Middle of Things Begin. And I used to have, everything seems like ages ago, But in any event, I didn't know often where to get started. I don't mean with writing, I mean generally in living. I used to have something that on one of my notebooks it said, prioritize first things first. And then I wrote, but what's first? So I think I had that thought when I began this poem, which is called In the Middle of Things Begin. Just begin, in the middle of the end begin, unknowable ending as yet begin. Begin where you must, where you can. Pierce the marble ledge, seek a crevice, crawl through. On your knees, sniff the strange air, the emerald moss. Move the tongue from the mother's silence. Stifle all excess, pair the pandemonium to some select tunes. Discover meaning in the few, not the many. Begin where you are. Begin in this moment, in the middle of things. The next poem is called, I believe it's Saints. I don't memorize my work. Let me just, I'm looking to find it now. Well, it's called Saints, and while I'm looking for it, I had taken a class, I remember where I took Saints There Are None, it's called. Anyway, the assignment was for us to translate a poem from the French without translating. That sounds very odd. Without translating it if we knew French. I'm not even sure how the poem came about, but there was a poem written in front of me, and so in some way, this is what I wrote in English. Saints, there are none. Saints, there are none that I know, but I like to buy pedestals and wait. Whistling into a flute, lulling a mandolin, the old work lives through new words. At the plate of evening, the harp sighs its notes, gazing upward is boundless, it lowers its sight. Chords sound in the courtyard of the secluded ferns, where birds sing by magic, such music for silence. And I think I was also, this was written quite a while ago, so hard to know what I may have had in mind. But certainly the idea of silence, the idea of people, not because of, well, also it can be because of a gap in language. I mean, the word is not a gap. But I've always been so awed by people, by choice, of course, or by necessity, coming to this country, who do not know English, and the challenges, the tremendous challenges. But also I think, and I've thought a lot about people who do not have a voice, who do not have the words to speak, who have been silenced in another sense. So that interests me. The next poem I'm going to read is called Past. Past. Past, where the reach out ran reaching, where the eye covered all, no ground too small, no body too little to note, make note. Past, where the feet out walking, where the mind took over and fast, oh fast. Where the eye covered all, no thing too tall, take note is all. Past, where the eyes outsaw seeing and all was. Past a world so sharply seen that slid to one so silent, so mean, where reason ran out and real crossed over. Living with reason was living alone, there's fear in that. Past the hands reaching for the hands that never were. What I'm going to do now, I do have it. When, so when Diane had asked me inspiration, and I said, I didn't give her the correct answer. So this is poem that I read, and I really loved it for the style and the way that it's written on the page. So I wrote, not an imitation, but influenced by it. This is a guy, I cannot pronounce his last name, John Pluker. Anyway, he's living in Texas in a neighborhood where his family had lived for about 100 years. And they were German, Irish, and other European lineages were transitioning. So there were many different peoples living in that neighborhood in Texas. And then he's talking about the brazen capitalist profiteering, displacement of working class Latinx and black people, and so many things going on with chemical waste in the neighborhood. To give you a sense, I'm going to read maybe 3 lines of what he wrote, and it's all, there's no punctuation. A day it's called, so many this morning, so many movements, so many breezes, so many cypress, so many doorways demolished, so many brush, so many vines crawl up the front of that house, and so many spaces, so many wide open between one structure and another. So I was very moved by what I learned of him and also the form that he was writing. So this is what I wrote. So many springs, so many rains, so many ruins, so many cracks, so many wounds, so many barefoot, so many skies, so many layers, so many deaths, so many places, so many streams, so many rocks, so many dreams, so many waiting, so many hungry, so many empty, so many wanting, so many hugs, so many excuses, so many asleep, so many money, so many hungry, so many earthquakes, so many fires, so many planes, so many falling, so many buildings, so many costs, so many homeless, so many cars, so many hopeless, so many traffic, so many anger, so many tumbling, so many breezes, so many kittens, so many TVs, so many news, so many guns, so many murders, so many leaves, so many suicides, so many breezes, so many springtimes, so many greens, so many arts, so many dance, so many sighs, so many lives. That is not an example of what I often do. And what I often do, what I need to do instinctively when I write is to end uplifting. Right, we always must have that uplift. The next poem, Some Story. And it's similar to what we do here at Ethical and what Joan led with the gathering. We tell stories. Some story. Stories, we tell stories, stories in a circle go round and round. 2 people to tell a story to. With one only the story is stuck, inverted, subverted. It is vacuum sealed, airtight, with nowhere and no one to turn to or tell. With one only the story stays, grows larger than the room, becomes the room. It outgrows the mind, spills into the streets of the mind, the streets of the world. With one only, the story explodes. So that's why we need to talk and communicate. There needs to be an other. I believe. Okay, this next poem is called Solo. Solo. He blew that sax like nobody's business, like he wanted to get inside it, feel the pulse and turn of each brass cleft, wanted to blast his soul sounds deep into the indifferent air, make it matter. He needed to touch the doe-eyed woman leaning on the bar and back, have her gaze up, take notice. He played through the quiet hours, whistled long into the horn's mouth, a lover's low croon in a hazy room, the table soft with candlelight. He wanted to blow past innocence, past doubt, past the safety only dying can provide. Wanted to find the worthy questions, allow the imperfect answers. But most of all, he wanted to keep on blowing, to use himself, spend himself, to keep telling his tale, deep and sonorous and yes, glad, long and lazy into the night. I'm thinking in terms of time. So this is called If Vital Light, and I have been told that it sounds like Emily Dickinson. So I actually wrote here, maybe I will have the nerve to say it. Yeah, well, she copied it from me, so I had the nerve to say it. Hubris, just once. If vital light. One room, one small room can make it everywhere of itself. If it contains what does not crush, not the heart's ineptitude, but the stalwart pulse, a skipping signature of the gathering of what suffices, all in this one room amid the light of recognition. I'm going to read a few more. I mean, in terms of time-wise, I'm thinking that.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. I have four more, and that's, yeah. This is called Influences. There's a line that I do not remember, but it's from W.H. Auden. It's a great line. Opens his poem. And so I'm looking at this poem, it reminds me of his line. But this is not his poem by any means. Influences. To be human is to be faithless, fraught with contradiction and irresolution. It is to live among the many, the myriad possibilities which open the world, which must be opened, which open us. For we endeavor, we must, though choice often chooses us. We wish to leave our mark, make our way, claim it's our voice we hear in a solemn whisper, but it's the clamorous influences of our ancestors, pounding at our back door, aching to be let in. And this one, there's a few that my husband Gary particularly likes. Okay. So this is one of them. It's called As I Said, and the hymn in the poem is Gary. You know, see, somebody reading my book would not know all of this secret information. As I said to him, life being life, let's live as we can, why not, I sang. So the weather's cold, let's take a walk, dress warm, let's talk, why not, I sang. Comfort is good, it's comforting, let's keep that going, the serene space of mind and place. But why not expand into and out of ourselves? You know, I may plan a real meal, something you actually like. That's not pasta with veggies or tofu with veggies or every damn thing with veggies. Not even the new year, but I'll make a resolution now. Right now, I'm going to find out if the oven works. That's a true story, you know? Okay, so we do have an oven. It's from the 80s in Hastings. It's yellow orange. I don't care. So somebody was cleaning it a couple of weeks ago for me. I thought really it did not work. Seriously. True story. It does work. So I don't have excuses, but I'm glad it works. Okay, the last two poems. So I'm going to read the first one in the book and then the last one in the book. The first one. I put together, I self-published chapbooks in the late 90s, 4 of them, and some of these poems are from those chapbooks. And this